This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Welcome, listeners. This podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by a first-time reader. I'm your host, Annie, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into our episode today, we just want to thank and welcome Andrew Neal, who's the newest member of the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. We really thank you for your support and your generosity. We also want to acknowledge Sunmi Edwunmi, who increased their pledge. So thank you very much to you guys. We're really happy to have your support. In this episode, we are going to be talking about 2 chapters.
Yeah, chapter 37 and 38.
Yes, and I am so excited, number one, that I got to read 2 chapters in a row.
Yeah.
That was really exciting
Especially
for me.
since 37's not very long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would have been really hard to stop at. But both of these chapters have been exactly what I have been waiting for.
Yeah, you had mentioned at the last chapter when we were finishing up that you were really excited to see what's happened so far.
Yes.
With like the rest of the crew. So
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that maybe they'd all meet in Camelin.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited that they met before, and we're going to get into it. I'm so excited. But before we do get into it, we got called out.
Oh, we did, yeah.
We got called out for our latest release
Transgression, yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So the episode 30, where we recorded chapter 34, we did 2 shots, but apparently there were 3 Harry Potter references.
Yeah.
And we glazed over one of them.
Whoops.
Because sometimes I talk so much about Harry Potter that I don't even notice I'm talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So we owe our dedicated fan base a shot.
Yeah, at least this one person anyways.
That's true. And you know what? They're supposed to be doing it with us.
All right.
So, okay.
Hopefully they're not listening like on their way to work.
Yeah, just like 8 in the morning on the freeway. Okay, so you have...
I have Washington, D.C.
And do you remember the 4 meaningful hours in that airport we spent?
had a layover.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we thought, do we have time to leave the airport?
To, like, see the interesting things?
And we decided no.
No, we did not. We stayed in the airport. And I have Cabo San Lucas, Mexico.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah,
you got this for me on your work conference because Brett just goes for work conferences in Cabo San Lucas without me.
Yeah, it just happens.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Ugh, delicious.
So let's get into this, and I want to kick us off with a fun fact here.
All right.
So this was a question posed to Robert Jordan back in 2000, so just keep in mind there was only 9 books out so far.
Okay. And also, side note, yesterday was Robert Jordan's birthday.
Yes.
So happy birthday to Robert Jordan.
Happy birthday. So in his question, he was asked, of the 9 books published so far, which one has your favorite cover?
Ooh.
Yeah, and I thought that's a pretty fun question because if you
Yeah.
go through all the different books and look
Well,
at
I
them...
guess it depends too, because aren't there different releases of different covers on different years and different editions in different countries?
Yes, there are different covers, and we covered that.
Ha ha ha, good
Nice
pun.
pun, yeah. Unintentional. But we did go over that, about the different countries, but we're talking strictly the North American copies, I would have to assume, when he answered this question.
Yes, okay.
And his answer was The Eye of the World.
This one?
Yeah,
With
this
Jerry
cover.
Seinfeld
That's the one.
on the cover? Some people say Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
I think Jerry Seinfeld.
it's a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of made me think about what my favorite covers are. So I would have to say 2 of them are my favorite. Book 3, The Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
And then book 7, A Crown of Swords.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
So you haven't got there yet, but
No, I have not.
you will see what I'm talking about when you get there.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that is really interesting. And I'm not sure what my favorite would be because I don't know many of them.
I think you could say truthfully that so far out of the book covers, The Eye of the World is your favorite so far.
Yes, but I also found The Great Hunt
Oh, true.
for both of us at the thrift store.
Yeah.
But I haven't really looked at that cover at all.
Yeah, you didn't go in detail with those covers. to
No,
look at
and
them.
you've sort of told me not to because they're kind of spoilery.
Yeah, they are.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Eye of the World, I suppose.
Cool.
So, Chapter 37.
Yeah, the long chase.
Ooh, okay. And the picture is of a sunburst.
Yes.
And I say, oh no, white cloaks.
Yeah, that was the intro picture we got when we first met them, I think.
Yes, and that's what they wear on their cloaks.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, kind of their symbol.
Yes, okay. We left off last chapter with Matt and Rand in Camelin, and Matt is still being a brooding asshole, and Rand went off on his own a bit and met Loyal the Ogier.
Yes.
Yes. So that's where we sort of left them.
Yeah.
Then I open this chapter and think, excellent, a Nynaeve chapter.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I think like 8 chapters or something like that since we've got anyone other than Rand's perspective.
And in podcast time, that's a long time.
Long time for
Yeah.
Danny over here. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited to find out what the other characters have been up to. And this is what I've been waiting for. So we start off with Nynaeve waiting on her own in the dark, watching over the 3 horses. And we last left her with Lan and Moraine heading off the Camelin Road on the search for Perrin.
Yeah, because they had just picked up the trail in Whitebridge of the boys.
Yeah.
And they didn't exactly know which boys, but they knew there were some boys. And then they
That's right.
decided to go north to the other boy that they could find.
Yeah, so they don't know it's Perrin. They just know it's a boy who still has his GPS coin.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so Moraine and Lan have gone off in the night and haven't bothered to let Nynaeve know what they're up to. And they leave her standing on her own like a stable boy. And she looks at the horses and gives an exasperated sigh. Right away, I think, oh yay, Nynaeve is still Nynaeve.
Yeah.
Still so sassy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like her and Moraine have, like, had a blossoming friendship yet.
No,
Yeah.
not yet anyway.
Yeah.
So we then get a flashback to what they've been up to since they left Whitebridge.
Yeah, and kind of how the Matt and Ren
Yes,
chapters went.
that's
so,
exactly where my mind went to.
Yeah, but, like, much shorter time frame of this, so...
Yes. Nynaeve thinks about how, when they were on the Camelin Road, they passed so many ordinary-looking villages, and I think that's interesting because that's what Rand thought, too, when he saw them.
Yeah, so similar.
These people who haven't really been out of the 2 rivers, seeing the outside world, and are surprised that a farm over here looks like a farm over there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so funny, right? But eventually, Moraine looks off the road for a while and then says something about the wheel weaving as it wills, and it will be as the wheel weaves, super cryptic. So they head north off the road, and Nynaeve reluctantly follows. She starts to believe more in what Moraine is doing and talking about after seeing everything in Whitebridge.
Yeah.
And that's something at this point, I think.
It is. It's like small steps that she's taking in the right direction of, like, understanding that Moraine is not just lying through her teeth to her.
Right.
So, but I got really excited because she totally said our podcast name.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
times, actually.
Bunch of times.
The wheel weaves.
Yeah.
So, one night after leaving the Camelin Road, Moraine suddenly stands up and whispers into the night, "It is gone." And I think that this is clearly the night that Egwene and Perrin were kidnapped.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that whole thing went down, their stuff was taken.
Yeah, and this is a huge indication for timeline of events.
Yes.
So if you want to, like, sync up Egwene and Perrin's travel time with, like, Moraine, Lan, and Nynaeve,
Yeah.
it kind of all falls in line now.
Yeah, and then also with the boys too, because we knew that, well, sort of the boys
Yeah.
too, right? It's somewhere in there.
It's like gets us closer, but not exact. Even when it says, like, one evening off the road,
Yeah.
it could be like a generic one evening
Yeah.
or a specific one evening. So.
Yeah, yeah. I also think it's interesting to note that this coin was taken from him, I thought, in a steading. Was there White Cloak Camp in the steading? I thought it
Yes.
was.
Yep.
And so it's interesting to note that the GPS tracking still works for the Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she knows when it's done, it's still working, even though it's a place that her Aes Sedai channeling in the One Power doesn't work.
So it kind of speaks to the magic system where
Yes.
it's like you can't directly channel in a steading.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that it is necessarily impossible to get power in there somehow.
Right.
So,
And I just found that was
Yeah.
an interesting thing to note. That's what I thought was interesting.
yeah,
anyway.
it definitely is. Yeah.
So Moraine knows that the boy isn't dead, just that he lost his coin. But she decides that they will continue on their path anyway and hope to find him. And then later that night, Moraine smiles to herself and tells Nynaeve that he has regained his coin.
Yeah.
And all will be well. So this answers a lot of questions about these coins for me.
Just like little hints to kind of pick up on.
Right. And so now I have to say I'm really confused.
Okay.
And I've reread this chapter 3 or 4 times. That's how confused I am
Okay.
about what's going on here.
Okay.
Now I have to tell you, I'm confused about time again.
Okay.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So later that night, Moraine smiles to herself and tells Nynaeve that he regained his coin, and I think this answers my questions. First of all, we weren't sure if the White Cloaks gave the Tarvalin coin back to Perrin,
Yes.
right? So, and I guess that means they did.
Yep, that would make sense.
And second, I didn't know if the bond could be like reformed.
Yeah, that was
if
actually
they got it back.
that was a question you brought up originally when I think Matt and Rand lost their coins. When
Right,
they handed
like
them
if they
over.
get it back, is it going to like reinstate their power?
And it seems that yes, it will.
And I also said, is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah. So in this case,
No.
yeah, no.
Interesting. Okay. So I do have a note later on that I'm very confused, but I think now might be a good time to start addressing my confusion.
Sure,
Because
yeah.
it's going to carry on even into next chapter.
Okay.
Because I wasn't confused until I read the next chapter. So it's interesting we're doing these 2 chapters together.
Okay. Okay. So I'm confused as to where your confusion is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one evening after they left the road,
Yeah.
the unflappable Moraine suddenly stood up beside the small fire, and this is in an evening, and
Yeah.
whispered, "It is gone," at the night.
Yes.
And we knew that Egwene and Perrin were captured right after dusk. Because it had just gotten dark, it was an evening, so she says, "He did not die." She sat down, her voice level, her hands steady. "In the morning, we'll keep on going as we have been."
Yeah.
And then as the fire burned down to coals, Nynaeve couldn't sleep. And then, long after the last glow faded from the coals, Moraine opened her eyes, looked at her. "He has regained the coin." And the wisdom smiling, "All will be well."
Yeah.
So, same evening.
Yes.
Yes, so they get the coins.
Yeah.
Then, Nynaeve has a hard time going back to sleep when Moraine goes to sleep no problem.
Yeah.
So she finally does go to sleep and is abruptly woken up in the night. And is it the same night that she's abruptly woken up?
Okay. No.
It really, really, really seems like it. There's no
Does you say it's abruptly woken up?
jerked from memory.
Okay, so this is where the confusion is. At the very
Back to the night.
So let me explain this.
Oh my god.
It clicked in your head, yeah, didn't it? So if anyone else is confused, I'll explain
Oh
it.
my god. That
Beginning. I know you get it now.
I spent so much time with this, and then I also was so confused that we never go back to where she's
Yeah,
at the beginning.
that's her snapping
That's
back.
what this
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Oh my god. I spilled
Oh, you spilled all your
I
wine
spilled
everywhere.
I'm so...
Pause.
Okay.
Pause.
Hold on. I'm so excited. I can't.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Because I was so confused for so long about that, and I couldn't
Yeah.
even talk to you about it. It's been a whole thing.
I get where the confusion stems from. So just quick recap for anyone who is still confused.
Yes.
So we have Nynaeve open up. She's tending the horses in the woods, and Lan and Moraine have left.
Yep. Yes.
And then she drifts off back into her memory of what happened
Up to that
up
point.
until that point, and then at the line where it says abruptly Nynaeve was jerked,
Jerked
from
from
memory,
memory.
that's her snapping back into the
Back
present.
to the night.
Yeah, so we just had like a page and a half
Oh
flashback.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because
Good.
you're used to like the 5 chapters of flashback, but this was like
Yeah. Well, I didn't
Yeah.
even know. And then there was no real separation.
Yeah.
And I read over it several times to like make sure, because I was like, this doesn't make any sense, and I didn't want to find a flaw in the writing. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what was going on, so I'm glad. And I also thought it was strange that we never really got back to Nynaeve standing with those
Yeah.
horses. So,
well, and that's
but
why the
that's
timeline.
what this is. Okay, so I have in my notes Nynaeve is woken by Lan, but no.
Yeah, not
wrong.
woken. This is her tending the horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the beginning of the chapter.
Anyway, so Lan grabs her arm and tells her that she is needed. He leads her through the night by the hand, and she thinks about how his hands are very strong.
Yeah, just coincidentally. Ooh yeah.
So Lan takes her to where Moraine is and shows her that they are on the outskirts of a white cloak camp.
Yes, yeah.
Lan says there are about 200 white cloaks down there. There's good water down there and the lad that they're after.
Yeah.
So I think this again is why I was so confused, because where they were camping in the steading was where that pool was, the only water for 100 miles.
Yeah.
So I for sure, or not 100 miles, but like a bunch of miles. And
Yeah.
so,
No, and that makes sense because this is why Moraine and Lan left her to tend the horses, because they went off to go and sneak up to the White Cloak base.
right.
And I think it is so cool of how cool Lan is.
Yeah, Lan's
Lan
cool.
is the coolest.
Yes.
Because he snuck up into the camp of 200 White Cloaks and got so close that he could figure out
He
that
could see,
like,
and
Perrin
he
was being
knew
guarded.
that he was under guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Moraine knows exactly where Perrin is, because, yeah, Lan snuck in close enough to see that he's under guard, so their plan has to change. Nynaeve wants to know why he is a prisoner down there, but Lan doesn't even really know. He's also curious about what the White Cloaks want with a village boy. And so Nynaeve wants to know how Lan is going to get him out, but then thinks to herself about how, like, it's embarrassing that she just assumes he can walk into a camp of 200 men and walk out with a prisoner.
And like, to be fair, he definitely walked in and out of the camp.
Yeah. But then
But-
she thinks, well, he is a warder and there must be some truth to the story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Nothing at all to do with, her feelings towards him.
Right, and
Yeah.
I was just thinking this is like getting a cute glimpse of like her growing fondness for him.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's funny. So Lan then asks if Nynaeve will take a chance to help, and right away she says anything to help an Emmons fielder. And Lan explains that the horses' ropes need to be partially cut so that when Moraine creates a diversion, they will break and the White Cloaks will be too busy chasing around their horses to notice what they are doing.
Yeah, and this also is kind of a big tell to the timeline because we had originally speculated of how Moraine's going to do anything to free, Perrin and Egwene if they were still in the setting, but they've clearly been traveling for days.
And that's
now,
like
so-
what like a page of my notes here is about, because I
Yeah.
think that they're still in the steading.
Yeah.
And so I go on and on about how I'm so confused about how is Moraine going to create a diversion? Aren't they in a steading? What's going on? I'm confused here. Is this the same night? Perrin lost and regained the coin?
Nope.
No. So
They just have been traveling.
they've been
so-
traveling, and we got
yeah.
the flashback, and that was a little unclear.
Yes.
I'm going to say. I hope I'm not the only one, but I bet I am.
Yeah. No,
I bet everyone else got it, and I'm the one left behind.
that's okay.
He says here that if Nynaeve is half as good as he thinks she is, then we'll have no problem. And she thinks to herself, oh, he thinks I'm good, does he?
Yeah, I love the dialogue
And
here.
then, like, right away, she agrees. I'll do it.
yeah,
So,
not
that's
at all
funny.
trying to impress Lan.
No.
For sure not.
No way.
Yeah.
Why would she ever want that?
No way.
No. So Lan tells Nynaeve that there are wolves about tonight and to take care. But Lan seems a bit puzzled because he says it's like they wanted him to see them.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I
kind of a
think-
big indicator.
Yeah, Perrin's wolf friends are checking up to see what's going on, I think.
Yeah, because I think the last we left Perrin, the wolves were too far away, or like they
Or
were shut out.
something was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he reached out and couldn't feel anything.
Yeah, so they were like gone, and we weren't sure if they like abandoned him. So potentially, it's like the wolves and Elias are close by.
Yes, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lan says that they will do it now then, and Nynaeve sort of falters, but takes out her knife and starts to head out into the night. Moraine catches her by the arm and tells her to take care. She tells Nynaeve that she's part of the pattern, and she doesn't like the idea of risking her. And Nynaeve then ties up her skirts.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how long it would take for that to happen. Because
Tying up the skirts?
yeah, because she already complained before when she was like sneaking around and
Yeah.
tracking that her skirts were in her way.
Yeah.
So I was like waiting for her to just ditch them because they're very impractical.
They are, yeah.
So Nynaeve heads out and reminds herself to go slow and quiet, and she notes in her head that she isn't in any sort of competition with the warder.
Yeah.
But then she thinks, oh no? And that's so funny.
It's kind of like she's lying to herself about her feelings towards
Yeah,
Len.
and she totally is.
Yeah.
And she has been since she met him. Like, ever since she was like, oh yeah, I tracked you guys, no problem.
Yeah.
Ever since that meeting.
Because, and I think Rand caught her blushing too at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was funny. As she's sneaking towards the horses, she catches sight of some guards marching in like their rhythmical pattern. So sort of like we saw that night that they caught Perrin and Egwene.
Yeah.
Because Perrin got some sight from the wolves that they were marching in this sort of weird pattern.
Yeah.
Back and forth sort of thing.
Well, this is the weird part about their marching patterns, because they're going in a very like linear fashion of back and forth, same thing being said.
Yes.
And it's almost as if they're not actually looking out for anything.
Interesting.
Well, if you think about it, if you think about how arrogant these White Cloaks are,
Yeah.
like I would have to, putting myself in their shoes, they're so full of themselves that they have like the audacity to think that no one's going to attack them. So they don't even need to
really
actually be on the lookout.
No, and I think they were so caught off guard when they actually found someone, like
Yeah.
Perrin and Egwene. Like, they didn't know what to do, and like 2 of them died.
And like 7
A bunch
wolves.
of their horses died.
Oh yeah, they lost people, they lost horses, they lost like half of their remounts. Like
Yeah.
it was staggering numbers. And now they're going ahead here marching, not even looking. Like they say Nynaeve's 10 paces away.
Yeah.
And they don't even see
and
her.
she even says at one point she thinks she could have just been standing and they wouldn't even have
Yeah.
seen her. So I think it's just funny, like their interactions, like between the guards when they meet each other at different points.
Yeah.
Like, all is well with the night, the light illumine us and protect us from the shadow.
So here's
and then they like repeat it back.
Here's another thing that I want you to kind of think about here too, because we know that most people, from who we've seen so far, don't even believe that like Trollocs and Fades are real. Like we've gotten that a lot of times where most people believe they're just stories.
Yes.
And
or just in the borderlands.
Or just in the borderlands and everybody's south, like they don't have to deal with this kind of stuff. So a White Cloak camp of 200 guards, of 200 White Cloaks, like who's gonna realistically attack them?
Yeah.
Like it's not like brigands or like bandits are gonna come and try and fight 200 guards.
Yes.
So it's kind of brings in a question of what real combat experience do the majority of these White Cloaks actually have?
Yeah.
Like who's fighting them?
No. I don't know. No one.
Realistically,
because they're not like a real army.
They're not a real army. They're
like
just a bunch of like stuck-up zealots.
Fake idiots. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because
Yeah.
you can tell by their marching patterns they just don't even know what to do.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. And then I do have a note. I think it's funny. You cut me off a little bit.
Sorry, yeah.
But when I was talking about what they say to each other,
Yeah.
it's because they're very oddly religious.
Yes.
Right? And it kind of reminds me, I know you haven't seen it, but it reminds me of The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay. No, I haven't seen it.
No, and because that is sort of religion has taken over, and when you address each other, you say things like, blessed be the fruit. And you...
Good,
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
And you respond with, may the Lord open.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Or like, under his eye. Just like weird things, like just weird religious type sayings. Because in The Handmaid's Tale, it's all about like getting pregnant. So blessed be the fruit.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that, and I never got into it with you. So
no, it's not your scene, but I enjoyed it, and I read the book, which was, But that's just what it kind of reminds me of, like the weird culty religion.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe White Cloaks.
Yeah. Thanks. So, anyways, Nynaeve is really good at sneaking. Turns out.
Yeah, because we already knew she was good at sneaking.
Yeah. So she sneaks up on the horses without startling them, and she gets to the nearest horse who raises its head, and it looks at her, so she freezes. And right away I think this must be Bella, and I think Bella was with them when they were captured, and she must be with the other horses.
Yeah.
And nope, Nynaeve is just nervous and doesn't want this horse to make a sound, and I was wrong.
Yeah. I mean, she's like, in my opinion, and I know nothing about horses except that they can swim.
Yes, you know horse facts.
Yeah. But I think she's like overly nervous about these horses making noise.
Yeah.
Because even if they do make noises, like horses make noises. And if there's 200 of them, like...
Yeah.
Like if there's... I assume there's like almost one for every white cloak.
No, because they lost a bunch of their remounts. So,
but anyways, if there's like 150 horses, they're gonna make noise even if they're sleeping.
I know. But she's just wants to be perfect. Like she's such a perfectionist, right?
And she's trying to impress Lan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So she gets to it, cutting all the horses' ropes. She cuts like 4 of the 5 picket lines loose and thinks about how that should be enough, but then thinks about having to justify to Lan that she didn't fully complete the task and compares herself yet again to a warder.
Yeah. I think it's so funny how her thoughts of him is like, he's going to look at me and not even be judgmental at all. And just like...
But he's going to know.
He's going to know, but he's not going to say it. Yeah.
So then she goes on to the last picket line to finish the job completely. And the first horse on the line is Bella. So I was on the right track.
Bella.
I knew it. Yeah. Bella's here. Hooray. Yay, Bella. Nynaeve better cut that rope and take her. I think. That's what I think right away.
Yeah.
And I'm right. She does do that. But Nynaeve logics out the whole situation. And I'm pretty impressed with her.
Yeah.
Actually, this is actually very smart because she thinks that Egwene must be with whatever boy is here.
Yeah.
And that means they will need at least another horse.
Yeah.
So she thinks about how she is so certain about this. Like she is as certain as when she listens to the wind.
Yeah.
She has like this shitty side conversation with her brain about how she's pissed off that Moraine even told her that she can use a 1 power.
I think shitty side conversation with my brain is going to be a new saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, seriously.
No, but she totally does, because she's like angry at herself for now knowing that it's Egwene for sure.
Yeah.
And we know that she has that like connection through healing with Egwene.
Yeah, and she for sure has this certainty, like she can feel when things are right and wrong, and she knows that she has to take Bella, she knows Egwene is here, and she's so pissed off that this has to do with the power.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. So she does what I want her to do, and she takes Bella plus another horse just for good measure. So she stands and waits for Moraine to do whatever it is that she's planning. Turns out it's lightning.
Yeah, it turns out.
Lightning. So that's what Moraine's planning. And then that's when I said, is this not the steading? I'm so confused, but scrap that from my notes because nope, it's not. It's not the steading. Moraine uses crazy Aes Sedai, channeling magic to create a crazy lightning storm from the sky, which in turn makes the horses go crazy.
So really important point I want to make here.
Yeah, did I miss something?
You did. So Nynaeve reaches out hesitantly to the horse to pat it.
Yes.
And the horse gave no objection to the strange hand, and indeed it seemed to want some of the muzzle stroking that Bella had received.
Oh, so the White Cloaks don't give good enough pats?
Not at all, because the horse is like looking at Nynaeve patting Bella,
and it's like, hey, I want pats.
I want some of those pats too. It's just like, there's no way the White Cloaks treat their horses nicely.
Oh, that just like makes them even worse.
The worst people.
Like you can't even be nice to your horses?
Yeah.
Man, they're the worst.
But let's talk about this crazy
lightning
strike.
Yeah.
Because I want to bring up one actually also important thing too besides horse pats.
Yeah, okay.
So we've seen before where we have a character who can potentially channel, really, really, really want something to happen, and be thinking to themselves, I really hope something happens to save me.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And here we get Nynaeve thinking to herself, light, make her do it now, before ... and lightning crashes down. So the question is, did Moraine actually cause that first lightning strike, or is this Nynaeve really, really wanting something to happen and crashing that first bolt down, and then the subsequent lightning strikes be Moraine bringing down the rest of them?
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it's just funny because in the writing, and I just like to point out the italicized thoughts of a character really wanting something to happen has been very, very specific.
Yes, it has been.
Previously, like specifically with Rand a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not something that I noted at all.
Okay.
But maybe.
Yeah. Well, we definitely don't have a definitive answer.
No, the only reason I think I didn't think that, and now that you're saying it, I think Nynaeve has accrued control over the power. We've learned that already, that she's learned to harness it and control it.
Yes.
And I think those wild thoughts and making things happen, bringing it back to Harry Potter.
Sure.
I didn't think it was going to happen. It's not in notes at all, but of course it happened. So I'll go get the shots, whatever. But bringing it back to when you don't have control.
That's when the wild stuff happens.
That's when the wild stuff happens, when you think, make her do it now. And then those things happen. So I think that Nynaeve is past.
Because she has years of experience.
Yeah, she's controlled. I just don't see it.
She might not consciously do it, but she doesn't. It's not like a freak accident almost.
Yes, and it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I don't think Nynaeve ever would use the power like this on purpose.
Yeah.
Because she just uses her power to heal and harness it that way. But, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but I'm not buying it.
Okay, fair enough. I just I pointed it out strictly because it's, italicized, so.
Sure, okay. All right, back with shots.
And cheers.
To Harry Potter, I suppose. Okay, so back to the crazy lightning thunderstrike, which makes the horses go crazy, including Bella and the horse that Nynaeve is holding on to.
Yeah.
So she does her best to get them under control, but at one point I think she's they both go in different directions and her arms are being pulled out of their sockets.
Well, it's Nynaeve's not a big person, and even Bella rearing up in fright would lift her off the ground possibly. So
yeah, I think Robert Jordan does a really good job of describing horses freaking out,
which makes me consider that
their eyes rolling, their lips baring their teeth, things like that just make me really picture these horses just freaking the F out.
So here's an impromptu fun fact about Robert Jordan, because he liked to do his research on things.
Yeah.
And I've seen and read about interviews with him where he, for his research, he had a full armory of weapons, and he would go and look at blades to describe them, and he would practice sword forms to figure out how people would fight. So I have to assume that part of his market research into horses
was making horses freak out so that he could write about how they freak out.
Not necessarily make them freak out, but just having the experience and studying them.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily bring a horse out to a lightning strike.
No, I didn't think that.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah, no, that's not what I thought.
But yeah, his actual research and experience probably goes directly into the writing. So yeah.
All right, so just before Nynaeve actually kind of gets the horses under control, she gets up on Bella to ride away, and she notices that there are wolves all around snapping and growling at the air, and I just find that interesting.
We come.
Sort of. Can you you have your book open.
Yeah.
Can you just read, it's interesting phrasing.
Yeah, so it says, her jaw dropped as a long gray shadow snarled past, seeming to ignore her and the horses with her, but teeth snapping at the crazed animals now darting in every direction. A second shadow of death followed close behind. Nynaeve wanted to scream again, but nothing came out. Wolves! Light, help us! What is Moraine doing? So the wolves are running by to snap at the horses to drive them even more wild.
Yeah.
To get them going,
and
basically.
And she thinks that it's
Moraine's doing
controlling
something.
The wolves. But no, they were looking at land. They were sussing out the situation.
They know.
They were seeing what's going on. And I think that the wolves understand that they're there to rescue Perrin.
Yeah.
And so they're just we're going to help.
Well,
we help.
We help, we come.
Yeah.
But think of that, even when Perrin first met the wolves, they were able to sniff out, if you want to say it that way, when Egwene and Perrin were lying through their teeth to Elias.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to assume that the wolves have some sort of ability to sniff out intentions of people.
Well, I just thought that because they could read Perrin's mind. Because they obviously walked past Lan specifically and saw what they were up to. And I think that they're just smart wolves.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
Is
No,
that fair?
that is
Okay.
totally fair, yeah.
Okay, but anyway, Bella takes off into the night, and Nynaeve is holding onto the reins of the other horse too, and the end.
Yeah, end scene.
Yeah, so I did have so many questions, and I'm just going to ignore them all, because
Yeah.
they were answered. And I'm
Yeah.
glad I asked you earlier than I intended, so that the rest of the chapter made sense.
Yeah, no, that is good for timeline's sake.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So, chapter 38, I think we can get right into, because
It's a continuation.
sort
Yeah.
of, yeah,
Yeah, from a different perspective.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, for right at the beginning though, you're not sure if it's a continuation.
Yes.
So it's cool.
It is this honestly is a very cool chapter.
Yeah.
And my love for Lan grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, you just he's your man crush, hey?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So chapter 38 is called Rescue, and I think if Perrin doesn't get rescued,
Then
I'll
the
be
chapter
pissed
title-
right off. So
Yeah.
that's it for me. So the picture is of like the white side of the thingy.
Yes.
Let's
Of the yin yang symbol that we get.
Okay.
We don't know, and I was gonna.
We don't
because
have the name
We
for
don't
it
know
yet.
what it is yet. Technically, we
And-
know that the other side is the dragon's fang.
That's what everyone refers to it as.
That's what everyone refers to it as, but we don't know this side.
Yeah, it's the white side.
Yeah.
So is this the one I thought looked like a cornucopia?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like right at the beginning, chapter 12.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
That's funny. But okay, so this is a parent chapter, and I'm so excited. This is everything I've ever wanted in my whole life, and I'm so happy that RJ isn't going to leave me hanging on another cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because it would have been so easy after that to like flip back to Matt and Rand,
Oh yeah.
just like literally brooding around and doing nothing for a chapter.
Yeah.
But
He gives it to you right now.
he gives it, and I'm so happy. So we start out with Perrin trying to get comfortable enough to sleep with his arms bound behind his back. We also get a note that it was difficult for him to sleep every single night since the White Cloaks took him. And I'll just read my notes to you. Okay, what? Now I really don't get it. Last chapter, it really seemed like Moraine found them the same night that he lost his coin. What the fuck is going on here?
You know what? Honestly,
Scrap it. Scrap that.
In fairness, it does read like it could be an immediate event.
It does.
But this almost kind of like adds to the terribleness of their capture, where it's been
a long time.
it's been like a week of just like terrible,
Torture.
torturous living conditions.
Yeah.
here.
So I just say forget about that for now, so I can like enjoy the rest of the chapter.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. I must have missed something. We get some insight into what it's like to be a White Cloak prisoner.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal. So they are made to walk behind the horses all day while still bound.
Yep.
But also like whipped if you fall.
Yep.
So you're bound hand and foot, but you also are following along a line of horses.
Well, Perrin's fear is that if he falls, they won't stop,
Yes.
which would just result in you being dragged by your neck, because he's saying that they're led by a halter around the neck,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
the halter is a noose around your neck being dragged behind a horse.
Yeah.
So his fear is that if he falls, they're just going to keep walking, and then he dies from being dragged by the neck, like by a rope.
Yeah.
Not so good.
Nah. No. So his hands are only unbound basically to pee and to eat.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how often that would happen for them. Probably like once, maybe
Once a
twice.
day. Yeah.
Like probably not much. We learn that the group of White Cloaks are actually moving quite slow due to losing so many of their horses in the steading, which is apparently too slow because Lord Captain Bornhold, what's his title? Captain Lord.
Yeah, so old Bornhold is Lord Captain.
Lord Captain Bornhold is very insistent on making it to Camelin in time for something.
Yes, and we can assume...
The false dragon thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So we also learn that Child Buyer is a sociopath or a psychopath.
Yeah.
And then I just did a little bit of research.
About socio versus psycho?
Mm-hmm.
Educate
I did.
me.
Are
Yeah.
you interested?
I am very interested.
So, they are both antisocial personality disorders.
Yes.
And in the diagnostic, in the DSM, the antisocial personality disorder is one diagnosis, and there's different types.
Yeah.
So, psychopaths are incapable of empathy and forming relationships, but they can pretend to form artificial and shallow relationships.
So they can fake it.
Yeah, so they have no consequence or moral compass, and they do not feel guilt. Sociopaths are more capable of feeling guilt and empathy, but act very impulsively.
Mm.
So I
So, like,
guess
violent
that
outbursts,
makes
yeah.
Bayer a psychopath.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think that he acts impulsively ever, really.
It seems like it's a very coordinated,
Yeah, and I think that he's incapable of having a conscience or moral compass or feeling guilt about anything. He certainly doesn't feel emotion or have any remorse or emotions at all.
Yeah, we kind of get that hint into the whole psychological warfare side of things that
Yeah.
he brings out because...
Although he does definitely feel disgust. And disgust is a human emotion, sort of.
Disgust is a very basic human emotion.
Yeah, I'm just thinking he's got some sort of emotional detachment thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think you could reasonably say psychopath because disgust is actually one of the most interesting emotions humans can portray. Mm-hmm. And disgust, I might be generalizing this, but it generally has to do with poop. Feces, yeah.
Interesting, because when we talk about disgust,
yeah.
I think about the Disney Pixar film Inside Out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Mindy Kaling is the little green disgust emotion, and she's really funny.
That's funny.
And so I like disgust as an emotion because of that movie.
Yeah.
So that's funny. And that's your psychology lecture for today.
I took a bachelor's degree in it.
Yeah, thanks for attending Psych 101.
12 years ago.
With Danny and Brett.
Yeah, there you go. Basically caught you up.
All internet research. Cool. Good.
Also,
anyway, Child Bayer sucks a lot.
Yeah. But let's talk about this, though, because Bayer casually mentions everything that's going to happen to Perrin. Because last we left...
He just doesn't give a fuck at all about causing pain or whatever, but he also doesn't get pleasure out of it.
So this is the thing, and this is kind of the shocking part of the, we'll call it the White Cloak experience here, is how bad...
That sounds like a fun thing. That sounds like a concert.
Yeah.
The White Cloak experience.
In a bad way.
In a terrible way.
They don't care because they're not people.
Yeah.
They're dark friends. They're villainous.
Although it really doesn't
low.
seem that Child Bayer would care much about anything.
Yeah.
It really doesn't care. Even if Lord Barnhold was like, go hurt that guy, he'd be like, okay.
And that's kind of where the psychopath side comes in.
Yeah, I don't think it has... I mean, like, yeah, because they're dark friends and he hates dark friends or whatever, but...
And Bornhold described Bayer as overzealous.
Yeah.
So it's like, kind of makes sense why the psychopath finds... a family in the White Cloaks faction.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he definitely doesn't have any remorse about hurting people, and this guy just really sucks, just to get that point across. Perrin thinks about how all the White Cloaks look at him and Egwene with complete disgust and contempt, and he thinks, how can I make them believe we aren't dark friends when they've already been convinced that we are?
And that's why I had previously said guilty until proven guilty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So at this point, Bayer comes into their tent that is being guarded, and he is carrying Perrin's axe, which we learn that he has adopted as his own since Perrin was captured. Bayer kicks Perrin in the ribs, which is already like super bruised from Bayer's boots. And he tells Perrin to wake up. And Perrin has learned by this point that you should acknowledge him or he will just keep kicking you.
Yeah, which is also crazy.
Yeah.
Question about the axe for you, though.
It also just shows what they've gone through, too, that he knows.
Oh, yeah. To wake up immediately and like a response so you don't keep getting booted in the ribs.
Yes.
So, question for you. Why do you think that Bayer has like adopted Perrin's axe?
He didn't think it was good enough for a village.
Sure.
Boy.
Like, we do know that it is a very well-made axe. Like, it's and you'd have to assume that, like, super well-made weapons aren't necessarily that easy to come by.
Yeah.
But do you think there's like any ulterior motives there coming in? Like, is he doing it to like rub it in Perrin's face? Like,
no, I don't think so.
What was yours is mine now.
No.
He's more like just cut and dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he thought this weapon was too good for this village idiot.
Yeah.
And
so
he
it's
thought
mine
he
now.
stole it.
Yeah.
And I'm better than you, so I get the better weapon.
Gotcha.
I don't think there's any hidden motives when it comes to Bayer.
That's a good point.
He is very straightforward. That's just what I've gotten from him. Like,
Yeah.
we've only met him twice now, but that's what I've gotten. Because there is no gloating.
Yeah.
Or in any way, even when he describes what the questioners are going to do to them, it's not in a way that gives him any pleasure. It's not in a gloating way, right? So I think the fact that he has this axe really just has to do with, I'm better than you are, so you don't deserve this excellently crafted weapon.
I like that.
I deserve it. You don't.
Cool.
And that's just end sentence.
Yeah.
So
no, like you said, it's very cut and dry versus like devious and like rubbing it in. It's not.
No way. No.
Not gloating. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. So causing pain didn't seem to affect him one way or another. So Bayer checks their bonds, and apparently he did this like every single night. And then Bayer says that dark friends shouldn't get to sleep when good men had to stay awake to guard them. And then Bayer squats down in front of Perrin with something other than hatred or disdain on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really intent on something, which is interesting.
Something's different about tonight.
Something is different. So Bayer tells Perrin that Egwene and Perrin are slowing them right down. And we get this reiterated quite a bit.
Yes.
So Bayer says that if they continue to let them walk, they will not make it to Camelin in time. And they don't have horses for them to ride.
Yeah, because of the wolf attack.
Right. So the captain is in a pickle and feels the need to get them to see the questioners. But he also wants to get to Camelin. Classic sticky situation indeed.
Yeah, and it is an interesting situation here because Bayer is saying that the Lord Captain has the issue because the Lord Captain has to bring them to Amador because of the wolves, because of that whole connection, but they also need to make it to Camelin in time. But Bayer is totally putting this situation on the Lord Captain.
Yes, and it might be. And because he's obviously some kind of advisor or maybe in some kind of like apprentice role.
Yeah.
Because when they were brought in as prisoners, when they were captured the first time, he was the one who came to give the report.
True.
So he's in some sort of power with the Lord Captain and hears the Lord Captain's issues and different things that are going on, different reports that he has. So something rather unexpected happens here. And Bayer says that if they were to escape, they wouldn't have time to track them down.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right. Say, if they frayed their ropes on a sharp rock, that would solve the captain's problem.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have an hour to waste looking for them.
And you know what I think? Is when Bayer says this is just idle speculation, I think it's not.
No way.
Idle speculation.
Because the guards also speculate. Did you hear about that? The guards also speculate.
Right, yeah. This doesn't seem like that big of a coincidence now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, never taking his gaze off Perrin's, he tosses a sharp rock on the ground.
Oh, snap.
Whoa.
Moral dilemma.
Okay, so immediately I think, oh shit, this is great. They're going to escape.
Yeah.
But then I'm really worried about the Moraine escape plan because right now we don't really know.
We don't actually know if it lines up.
We don't know if it lines up and we don't know where it falls in the timeline. And Lan says he saw them under guard.
He did.
So it must be the same night. But how long did it take him to get back?
Yeah.
How long did it take him to go get Nynaeve and bring him to Moraine? How long did it take everyone to get set up? So I figured out it's the same night.
Yeah.
But
it's so fun to read this though because
is it going to be like a Romeo and Juliet situation where it's like literally just like 3 seconds too late?
Yeah, yeah. But it's so funny because reading this chapter, it's like as soon as Bayer tosses the sharp rock on the ground, like my brain is racing. Like, oh my god, why did he do this? What are they gonna do?
Yeah,
what should
I was
Perrin
like,
do?
right away, I was like, good, do it.
Yeah.
I didn't even like, because,
Yeah.
because Perrin is way more thoughtful than I am.
Which is funny because we've gotten hints that Perrin likes to think things through.
Oh,
and
yes, he
now
does.
he's thrown into this situation where he needs to think
quickly,
quickly.
too. So
he's like rolling through scenarios here, like, what do I do? What do I do?
right.
Yeah.
But not before I can think what's going to happen to Moiraine and Lan if Perrin and Egwene escape before they show up.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's what I really thought was going to happen. But remember how you told me that I would be an extraordinary writer?
Yeah.
Because just all the craziest shit would happen and I wouldn't have a realistic story at all.
Yeah.
That's what would happen in my story.
Yeah.
Perrin and Egwene would escape, and then 10 minutes later the diversion would happen and Lan would go and find Bayer, and it would be a crazy scenario.
Yeah.
And the reader would be like, oh man, and I would be such a good writer. I'd sell
So
1,000,000
good.
copies.
Yeah. 1 billion copies sold.
Yes. Of this particular chapter adaptation.
Yeah.
Although the whole book would be adapted.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So anyways, Perrin is much more thoughtful than I am. He thinks about how this has got to be some kind of trap. It is so unbelievable because Bayer, like, effing hates dark friends.
Well, he's had like a week, if not more, of Bayer just
and
like...
how could he let just dark friends walk out of here, basically?
Yeah.
And I think that it's more beneficial to him that they go. Because obviously Bayer wants to please the Lord Captain in some way for his own sort of personal gain.
Yeah.
And so if the captain doesn't have this situation anymore, then there would be no problems. And he wouldn't be like babysitting these prisoners.
Yeah.
So
So there's basically two scenarios here. One where Bayer's literally saying, okay, just like escape and then get out of here. And then the other situation where Bayer says here,
escape, get out of here,
and then
but
he
then
kills
he's just
him.
going to kill him.
Yeah, so what do you think would actually happen? Like, we know how the chapter turns out.
Yeah, we obviously do. But, so
what do you think Bayer would do?
So, I think that Bayer hates the fact that these dark friends are slowing them down.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later, like a paragraph later, we get that Bayer looks at the rock like he wants to reconsider.
Yeah, but that's only because Perrin gets that, like, gleam on
does.
it, the grin on his face.
So that's why you're jumping ahead a little bit. Because my thoughts about what Bayer is actually thinking and doing stem from the fact that he looked at the rock because some things happened and he reconsiders. So
that's a good point.
Because I think he was just going to let them go.
Okay.
I think that he hates the fact that dark friends are the ones who are slowing them down, and he just wants them gone.
Yeah.
Although it is a good point that it would just be super simple to kill them and throw them in a ditch.
And even that being said, even if he does just kill them, I can't imagine there'd be that big of repercussions for Bayer.
Yeah.
Like, he might get his, wrist slapped, but I can't imagine he'd actually get in trouble for murdering these two people.
I think he might, though, if he gets caught killing them, because we get later on, again, we also get that it's very important for them to go to Amador.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess Bornhald could just kill them too.
Yeah.
But they've gotten word from the elders and the questioners or whoever the hell the top guys are, the counselors, we get that they have said, we want to talk to this person. We want to question this guy because of this wolf thing. So I think killing them would be a really bad move. If it gets back on him that he killed them.
Like just willy-nilly, basically? Yeah.
So if they escape, then it's like, oh shit, I guess we just have to keep going. And everybody goes off on their own way. And I think that's... Maybe I just see the bright side of things. But
yeah. But you have a very good point that he does clearly reconsider in Perrin's eyes.
He does. So let's get into that right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because Bayer goes to leave and Perrin frantically tries to call after him because he wants more information, but he suddenly gets a wolf incoming message.
Yes.
And it says, help comes.
Yes, we come.
Help comes.
Yes.
So this is cute because this is obviously from the wolf that saw Lan,
Yeah.
right? It turns out that this is Dapple.
Yeah.
And Perrin asks about Elias right away. He reaches out and he's so surprised, and he gets a vision of Elias tending to a wound on his side on a bed of evergreen leaves. And Perrin's face breaks out in a foolish grin as he thinks about Dapple and Elias being alive and coming to help.
You know, the saddest part about this scene is the fact that your hope for the Lan Moraine and Elias meetup is not going to happen.
Dead.
Yeah.
At this point, anyway.
Yes.
Because we do get some interesting information later.
We do.
So, you're right. But I also hope that Elias will be okay.
Yeah.
With his tending to his wound. And Perrin is so happy. Byre sees this and says, "Some thought has come to you, Perrin of the Two Rivers, and I would like to know what it is."
Uh-oh.
And Perrin thinks about how Byre couldn't possibly know about the wolf communication, but it's written all over Perrin's face.
Oh, yeah, he's like grinning like an idiot right now.
And then stops and then thinks again. And so Byre looks at the rock on the ground and Perrin realizes that he's reconsidering. So this is that interesting thing where he looks and thinks, oh, maybe I shouldn't let them escape. What's happening? No, what have I done?
So
if he does reconsider, would he keep them alive to
talk
about the fact that he was going to let them escape?
So that's the question. What's worse? Is it worse to kill these dark friends because they, in quotations, tried to escape?
Yeah.
Or is it worse to be caught giving them a sharp rock to help them escape?
Yes, that's worse. You're that one.
That's the worst one?
That's the one. That's the one that's bad.
It's like, I was only going to help them escape because I was going to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's worse. That's the worst one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting here. So we were worried about the whole Perrin wolf connection, or I was anyway, being completely cut off. Like if they were mad at him that Hopper died or something, right?
Doesn't seem to be that way.
It does not. So as Perrin is trying to think of something to say, and Byre is opening his mouth to say something, a lot of things happen really quickly, like all at once.
Have I mentioned how cool Lan is?
So, the guards are taken out, swallowed by the black of night, and Perrin thinks that the night has come alive to take them all. And then the darkness turns into Lan, who sweeps into the tent.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and avoids the swing of the axe from Byre.
Not even avoids. He casually leans aside. Like,
yes.
Oh my god.
And then the swing catches Byre off guard. Right? Or not off guard, off balance.
Yeah.
He catches them off.
Because he just like totally misses Lan. Because Lan just like
casually. And then
aside.
I say Lan karate chops Byre, but it's so much more than that. Like
Lan is Bruce Lee and Keanu Reeves put together.
It's like a
oh my god
fury of feet and fists and feet, and then Byre collapses.
Yeah, he like kung fu's him down.
Yes, he really does.
Like it's like so cool. Lan is so good that Byre, this
is
guy.
Lan your favorite character? I haven't heard you say that yet.
I don't know if you've heard, but he's really cool.
Yeah.
And I really hope this gets like a play-by-play reenaction in the TV show.
It's gotta. It's just a really good scene.
I just want my mental images like brought to life on the screen. But the cool...
Don't we all, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the way it's written, Byre moves like a viper. So Byre's not a schlub. Like he can do... He's competent.
You know what I can't wait for? When someone's listening to this podcast for the first time after the show has already come out.
So cool.
And then they can say to us, hey...
That didn't happen at all.
That didn't happen at all. You guys are completely wrong. Or, hey, it was exactly like it was. And we can be like, yes. That's going to be cool. I can't wait for future...
Future us are going to have a great time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But anyways, so back to it. So Byre's no schlub. He's quick. He moves like a viper. Lan doesn't even draw his sword and has not. He's taken out 2 guards.
Yes.
One vanishes. The other's like brought down immediately.
Like a tree. Yeah.
And then he dodges the axe and then kung fu's Byre.
And Byre
down.
collapses in a heap on the ground. I say, go, Lan. Made it in time. All is right with the world. Because I was imagining this crazy scene where Lan shows up and they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing. But no. It's just all good. It's all the way it's supposed to be. Lan quickly extinguishes the lantern in the tent and everything goes completely black. Even Perrin's wolf night vision can't see anything.
So dark.
So dark. But Lan can.
Seemingly,
Interesting.
yeah.
Or maybe he's just so good at sensing. Like, you know how they talk about how when people are blind,
Yeah.
their other senses are more heightened.
We also know that warders do get some special
Crazy
abilities.
training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Training and abilities.
Oh, and abilities.
Well,
Oh.
because of the warder bond.
Right.
We know that there's like,
They do get some benefit. We do hear that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they get some ability / benefit / something.
Okay.
So
Okay. So Egwene is so relieved, and I think, oh yeah, Egwene's still here.
Oh yeah.
Right. So she says that she thought they were all dead, and Lan says, not yet, and his whisper was tinged with amusement.
So cool.
Cute. So Perrin asks if Byre is dead, but Lan says he only kills if he means to.
Also so cool.
Yeah, but he won't bother them for a while. So I would, at this point, ask me if I'd be okay if Lan killed Byre.
Would you be okay
Yep.
if Lan killed Byre?
Yes. The answer
Oh,
is
you
yes.
would, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just
So-
like a strong throat punch.
He just
basically, yeah.
seems pretty terrible as far as people go. Like, remember how you asked me if Matt should have killed that random woman? And I wasn't completely on board with him. Just
even
like,
though she totally tried to literally kill both of them.
And I wasn't really. This, I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
This is bad. Bad news. I just can't stand.
Just like
it.
casually talking about torturing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much for me on that.
But this kind of brings into that whole, is a dead body going to draw more attention?
The answer is yes.
Possibly.
Oh, that's the same thing I said.
That I know, that's why I asked it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways. So, anyways, Lan has a plan. He's a man with a plan.
Lan the man with a plan.
Yep. So he tells Perrin to get the white cloaks off of the white cloaks.
The cloaks that are white off of the white cloaks.
Exactly. So they take them from Byre and one of the guards to wear to sneak out of here without being readily caught. And Perrin is uneasy about taking Byre's cloak, but he does it anyway. Perrin also notes that all the white cloaks hate him, except for Byre, who didn't even hate him because that is a human emotion.
An interesting point.
Yes.
Perrin doesn't know that he took Byre's cloak.
Well, he knows he has two cloaks because he gets one from the guard and one from Byre. Because he even feels to make sure that Byre's still breathing, but then gets this tingle. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know which one he puts on.
Exactly.
Except he feels he can smell him.
Yes.
And he's got his wolf senses. His wolfy senses.
So the thing that he thinks that he can do, he can totally do.
Yeah, totally.
He totally got Byre's cloak.
He's got his, like, wolfy spider senses.
Yeah.
Going.
Just wolfy senses?
Wolfy senses.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so they grab the cloaks. They go. But he also grabs his axe back.
Yeah, he got it back. There you
Yes,
go.
I'm so happy about that. So the night breaks out into lightning and thunder crashes, which makes the White Cloak camp erupt into chaos. Lan pulls them from the tent and they run to make their escape, and they run and run until they're out of there. It's interesting to note that there is so much chaos going on that Lan notes that White Cloaks see them running away and escaping and can't do anything about it.
Well, they have white cloaks on, so it's not even that they know that they're escaping. They don't know that they're the prisoners.
Yeah.
Lan's basically invisible with his cloak.
Right.
Like, that cloak has been pointed out a couple times this chapter. Like, when Lan grabs Nynaeve by the arm and he's like a floating head. Like, this cloak is a magical cloak. So he's almost invisible, and the other two are, like, wearing white cloaks. So people just assume that they are white cloaks.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Okay. So they head up a hill, leaving the camp behind, and they stop as they come up to 3 horses and Moraine. And her voice is thick with irritation when she says that Nynaeve has not yet returned, and she fears the young woman has done something foolish.
And we got to go slow through this because this is wildly important.
Oh yes, Lan spins on his heel to head back to the camp, and Moraine says a sharp no to stop him.
Yeah.
And she says some things are more important than others, but Lan doesn't move.
So Lan has turned his body. He, like, as soon as she said
he wants to go after Nynaeve so badly.
So, and he turns on his heel, and the whip crack of Moraine saying no, he freezes, but he doesn't turn his body back.
Which really pisses Moraine off.
Well, and that's just like 100% body language. It's kind of like if you want to leave a conversation and you turn your feet and your body away from the person, and they keep talking.
Yes.
It's like they have not picked up on a very important signal.
So Moraine becomes more harsh with him, and even like, this is when your mom like middle names you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
She uses his full title. I say last names him.
Yeah.
But like, oh snap.
So Moraine says, remember your oaths, Al Lan Mandragoran, Lord of the Seven Towers. What of the oath of a diademed battle lord of the Malkieri? So we got a whole bunch of information there. Number one, there's oaths that he took.
Yes.
Number two, his name is Al Lan.
Is this the first time we get his full name?
Yes.
Interesting.
It is, because also that Al Lan
that
is
means
very
it's
similar.
Son of, right? Is that what that typically means?
That's what we think that it means in Two Rivers speak.
Gotcha. Okay.
Al Thor.
Right.
Son
yes.
of Thor. Because
or
there was
Alvear
a whole...
and whatever. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then we get his last name, Mandragoran, Lord of the Seven Towers. We've heard that before because Min's viewing of Lan was him with 7 ruined towers around his head.
Yes.
And we had some
We
speculations
also
about that.
get Moraine calling Lan Lord of the Seven Towers.
Yes.
At other point when they're going to Shadar Logoth or something like that.
Yeah.
But
And then the last part is we get the diademed battle lord of the Malkieri.
yeah. Now, is the diadem, is that similar to the Harry Potter Rowena Ravenclaw diadem? It's a tiara, like a crown?
No. As far as I know, it is not.
Okay.
But I can look into that.
Because like a diademed battle kind of sounds like a crown-worthy battle to me. Because a diadem, at least in Harry Potter,
Yeah.
it was a word I'd never heard before. And, you know, we had to look up what a
because
diadem
in Harry Potter
was.
it's
the crown.
tiara.
It's a Horcrux, but it's a crown. And
So maybe it does. Maybe it does.
It's a diadem.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how it's spelled, the diadem. And this is like diademed. Like the past tense of that. So like a crowned battle.
So
that's
very,
how
very
I
well could be.
think of it. And before anyone calls us out, we can do a quick shot.
Oh, shoot. You're right.
Were you just going to glaze over that?
I didn't even, in my brain, it didn't even connect. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go really fast.
I'm going to use the Google.
Okay, back with shots.
Yes.
Good news, it's Friday for our third shots, and I just didn't want to get called out again.
Yeah, no, you're right, though, because diadem is a crown. So, like,
Good, okay.
I know who Lan is.
Yes.
I didn't look up the word diadem. So, yeah, but it is
But
crown.
it's not just a made-up word in, like, the Wheel of Time, or Robert Jordan just made it up.
Correct. It's an actual word.
Diadem means crown, or tiara.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not tiara, but, like, crown.
He's basically a crowned battle lord of the Malkieri, which we can assume is a place.
Okay.
Or a people.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go J.K. Rowling for teaching me vocabulary.
And go RJ for teaching J.K. Rowling vocabulary.
Shut up, Brett.
That was a bigger shot than you usually pour. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I didn't measure. They're 2 different size shot glasses.
Yes.
You know what we should start doing for Instagram is for when I release
Shot glasses.
I should take a picture of our shot glasses here beside the microphone.
That would make sense.
And then I'll release that on Instagram for our episode releases. So that people can see that we're not just like making up, that we have all this like it's extensive shot glass collection.
This shot glass is from the moon.
Yeah. Oh man, I just heard that the Russians are trying to have the first baby born in space.
Okay.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard about this? No? Okay. You talk your show.
Wow,
talk
what
show.
a great audience.
Yeah.
This is just gonna get sloppy.
Lock it at the rec center.
Well, I mean, come on.
Come on. Oh, okay. Huh.
I'm feeling fleshed after that shot.
Where were we?
So,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Moraine and Lan staring at each other, and Perrin thinks, oh shit, Lan is all of that? And cue Nynaeve busting out of the bush.
So it becomes essentially a moot point because
Yes.
it doesn't matter. But this is the thing that I need you to maybe give an opinion to.
Sure.
We get a clear-cut act of defiance
Yeah.
in a very loose way, but this is as much defiance as we've ever seen
As
Lan
like
give
warders
Moraine.
are allowed, it seems like.
This
Yeah.
seems huge. Like, this is,
Yeah.
to me, at this point in this book, shocking that there is any, like, we have not seen Lan flinch
Yes.
with Moraine.
True. Okay, so what do you need me for?
These feelings towards Nynaeve go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How deep do they go?
Yeah, they go.
They go deep?
I think so. I mean, he's defying his Aes Sedai, who he's clearly taken an oath to obey. I think it's even more than just protecting. I think he has to obey her.
Yeah, well, there's clearly some oaths here.
Yes.
So,
Interesting.
yeah,
And he's some crowned battle lord. So,
it's something.
yeah.
Something also to be said that as soon as the crashing sound comes to the bush, lands between the sound and Moraine in like, not a heartbeat.
Yes, exactly.
So, like, there is still that he's, but he wants to go and save Nynaeve.
Yeah, or help her in some way or whatever, but then Moraine says no. There is something to be said for Lan understanding that women who can channel are looked upon as inexpendable in Tarvalin.
Okay, there's that
There's
too.
something to be said with maybe he could think he's helping Moraine.
He should also go and protect the
He
other
should
woman
also
channeler. Yeah.
go and help her. The fact that he doesn't immediately respond positively when he's told no,
Yeah.
and she has to scold him like a child.
It seems like an emotional
It
thing.
does.
Yeah.
It really does. But there is some logic to it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely emotion tied up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Especially if Moraine can, in fact, read his mind.
True.
I still think that's a thing.
You think that's, and from what I've gathered from our conversations, is that you think it's more of a one-sided?
It's one-sided,
Yeah.
for sure. Because Moraine's always the one who has to speak, and Lan doesn't do the speaking.
So she can read his mind, he can't read hers.
Yeah, that would be beneficial for the Aes Sedai if people can't read her mind,
Yeah.
I think. But it's beneficial for her if she knows everything that her warder's thinking.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to think of turning on them and killing them,
Or something,
they gotta
yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So if she's already got insight into his feelings for Nynaeve, and she doesn't really care for Nynaeve, they're at odds a bit,
Yeah.
that could be pissing her off. Not in a jealous way, I don't think. Because I don't think Moraine and Lan are...
It's not a sexual thing.
No,
it doesn't
they're
seem to be.
definitely
Yeah.
not romantically connected.
But it's more like,
hey, you're mine.
you're mine by oath to
Yes.
be with me, but not in a sexual way, but like you're my
Yes.
partner in this journey.
Exactly.
And then now there's Nynaeve, pretty slip of a girl to
Convoluting that.
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Bringing feelings into this whole.
Anyway,
yeah.
so Egwene is more happy to see Bella than Nynaeve.
Yeah, hey, how
turns
about that?
out, but Nynaeve is very happy to see Egwene. So Nynaeve slides down off of Bella, and Lan grabs her arm abruptly, but Moraine says, "We must go, Lan." So it's like more of the same, and then he lets go. So I put in my notes that Moraine doesn't care for this Nynaeve fondness, clearly. And a tiny side note, Perrin hears Nynaeve laugh, and he doesn't think it has anything to do with her seeing him again. It's almost like Nynaeve thinks it's funny that Moraine is irritated when Lan wants to interact with Nynaeve.
Wait, where are you again?
So Nynaeve slides down off of Bella. Let me find it. But as she started towards the Emon Fielders, Lan caught her arm and he stopped short, staring up at him. "We must go, Lan," Moraine said, once more sounding unruffled, and the warder released his grip. Nynaeve rubbed her arm as she hurried to hug Egwene, but Perrin thought he heard her give a low laugh too. It puzzled him because he did not think it had anything to do with her happiness at seeing them again.
Right. So Lan grabs Nynaeve. She's staring up at Lan.
Yeah.
Moiraine says, "Let's go, Lan," and then Nynaeve gives off that laugh. The big thing to, I guess, point out here is that this is from Perrin's perspective.
Yes.
Like, Perrin wouldn't pick up on the intricacies of Nynaeve, Lan, and Moiraine, like, triangle.
Maybe not. You're right about that. But I still think it's interesting that she, like, laughs when Lan, who is clearly just concerned for her well-being, and he steps towards her and grabs her arm, basically, like, to make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
And she stares up at him, but then Moiraine immediately scolds him and says, "Come on, we must go." And then Nynaeve gives a little laugh. And it's sort of written... It's just a teeny tiny side note, but I think it's just another intricacy to their little growing relationship.
I agree with you, because that's a great point. And I think that it's a little bit, if you're not looking for it, it's written like Lan grabs Nynaeve because she came between... Like, she's coming towards Moiraine.
I don't think that's it. I think he was legitimately concerned that she wasn't okay, and he's stepping to make sure she's okay.
Oh my goodness, you're alive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, Perrin asks about Mat and Rand here, and Moiraine says that they are elsewhere. And Nynaeve says something that makes Egwene gasp, and Perrin blink. And then I just said, swearing is funny.
Yeah, swearing is funny.
Yeah.
Especially when you're from a super conservative village.
Yes. So Moiraine pretends not to notice and says, "Light send that they are well." So she's completely taken the high road.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Yeah. They change their cloaks, like out of their white cloaks that they escaped in, and get mounted and take off. And I just want to acknowledge here how smart it was for Nynaeve to get those horses for Egwene and Perrin.
Oh, yeah.
She deserves some credit for that.
Yeah.
And she's not getting it from this Aes Sedai.
No.
Or the Warder. Like, she's not getting any credit for anything. And this was a phenomenal move on her part.
It's almost as if Moiraine and Lan would have thought of it. So it's not something that's worth giving credit to because it's just something you should do.
Except it wasn't in the job description. She went above and beyond what was expected.
That's true. It was not in the job description.
And if she didn't see Bella, she wouldn't have done it.
That's true.
But she wanted to rescue Bella, and then all of a sudden she had this thought of Egwene, and then she just had this instinct that she needed the horses. So good on her. I'm giving her credit.
Yeah, props to Nynaeve.
If no one else is, I am. Props to Nynaeve. She's my girl right now. So they take off to leave, and Perrin feels Dapple reach out to say, "One day again," and I cry a little.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He tries to ask when and why, fumbling in haste and sudden fear, with trace of the wolves growing fainter. He feels one day again.
Well, it's the total "we will meet again."
And it hangs haunting in his mind long after the awareness of the wolves wink out. And I said, "Oh, that's so sad."
So sad.
It is really sad, actually.
They'll meet again, though.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they're gone. Wolves are gone for now, anyway. As they ride off, we get a hint that the moon is slivered. So
go back to your science class of what happens in moon phases.
It's possible that it's almost a couple of weeks that have passed since they were captured. If we're relying on only the moon as a sense of time, which that's all we got.
We don't have watches.
They were captured on the full moon, and now the moon is slivered almost at a new moon, we can imagine.
Yeah.
So that's about 2 weeks, I'd say, in moon phases.
Yeah.
Waxing or waning.
Well, you're just assuming that they're in the same solar system, so...
Well, they are. If I actually got an interesting question for our Q&A coming up.
Yeah.
About how, if this is happening in the same universe, and it's technically the past or the future of where we are.
Yeah, I've already stated that I think that this is happening in the distant future.
Yeah, you have. So that means that this is our universe.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's going to be an interesting Q&A, I think.
Yeah.
For us.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, this month. We got to record that soon, actually.
Yes.
But anyway, so that is an interesting point, which actually would make this Earth.
Yeah.
So,
Technically.
yeah. But I'll get into that a little further in our bonus episode. So they finally come to a stop kind of around dawn. It's still dark out, but Lan finds a safe place to build a fire, and they bury the white cloaks that they stole, and Egwene asks again about Matt and Rand. What?
You gotta say cloaks that are white, because when you say they bury the white cloaks that they stole.
Okay, they buried the cloaks that are white.
Yeah, there you go.
And Egwene asks about Matt and Rand. Moraine tells them that she thinks they're in Camelin or on their way there. And she is right about that. I like knowing things that Moraine doesn't.
Ooh,
that makes me feel smarter than Moraine, which makes me feel very smart.
That's quite smart.
Yes, right? And so she promises that she will find them, which is huge. That's like promising a patient that you're about to operate on that you're going to save their life.
Yeah.
That is a huge promise.
Big promise.
Yeah.
She is determined,
That's a big deal. So Nynaeve produces an ointment for Egwene's wrists, and then she goes over to Perrin, who is sitting alone, sort of lost in thought about Dapple's message. Like, he's really taking this to heart.
Yeah.
Like, now that he's finally accepted this, like, wolf communication thing, and, like, wolf family, almost, he's kind of upset that he lost them.
Yeah, it's almost as if he was a little bit forced into it, because he was pretty reluctant.
Yeah, he was. But now that he's sort of accepted it, it's almost like they have to be gone and he misses them. And then all of a sudden they're back and he doesn't want them to leave again. Like, you don't know what you got till it's gone, Perrin.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is the worst.
That is the worst.
Yeah.
So he's lost in thought. She looks at his bruises and even he is surprised at how bad it is. And Nynaeve creates some kind of herb mixture to, like, rub on him. And Perrin notes that it's sort of, like, hot and cold at the same time. But he's surprised at how immediate the pain relief is.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I want to bring up here. So number one is the shock in Nynaeve when she actually sees Perrin. So it's very notable of how
He's
poorly...
been tortured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he is covered in, like, not just a few... Like, he's head to toe in bruises. And the only reason he doesn't have, like, broken ribs and bones is because he's so ripped. And his muscle layers have, like, protected him.
Right.
So that's, like, the first part. And
Except
then,
he doesn't say, I'm so ripped, so I'm protected. He says... years of working as a blacksmith in the forge.
You're jacked, buddy.
Yeah.
So he also doesn't tell her that he killed White Cloaks.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't bring that up.
Because she goes, why did they hate you so much? And he thinks, because I killed 2 people.
And he says, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And then last part, let's talk about this poultice that Nynaeve makes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Aes Sedai healing, perhaps?
Yeah, so there's no way that that herbs are going to make your bruises disappear.
No way.
Yeah.
No
That's
way.
not how bruises work.
That's not how medicine works.
Yeah.
No. So even the bruises start fading immediately. The pain immediately goes away. Even if she could brew lidocaine...
Yeah.
Or, like...
you know what? Advil takes 20 to 30 minutes to work.
kick in. Right. Even if she could brew some sort of topical...
Yeah.
Pain relieving... Some sort of something.
Fast-acting, know, pain relief here.
Even if she could do that, it's not going to fade bruises.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. And even Nynaeve seems to be a little bit surprised. She's surprised, but then she, like, doesn't let on how surprised she is.
And she gets mad that Perrin's surprised.
Yes.
But that also comes back to...
But he says Nynaeve's healing always worked. Slow or fast, it's always working, so he's like, whatever, she's
And we've
good.
heard from Nynaeve's own mouth that she knows that sometimes her herbs work really quickly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes longer, but they work.
Yeah.
So I think
that now she's a little bit more connected, even to understanding that it's the power.
Yeah.
And so she's gonna just continue to get even better.
Yeah.
And she clearly, I've stated this before, has an affinity for this healing thing.
And she doesn't like it.
No, she hates it.
Yeah, which is in part why she's, like, mad at Perrin for, like, being surprised.
She's just mad at the world right now, I think.
But I think we can for sure say that this is an instance of Nynaeve using the power to heal.
Yes.
So.
I absolutely agree with that. So Perrin asks Nynaeve about Matt and Rand, who immediately gets all pissy about things Moraine has said.
Yeah. She says they're all right. She says we'll find them. In Camelin, she says. She says it's too important for us not to. Whatever that means. She says a great many things.
Right.
All
pissy.
Yeah, I was trying to emphasize those she's because it's italicized.
Because it's italicized.
Yeah.
No, you did a good job.
Yeah.
So Perrin smiles about how Nynaeve hasn't changed at all. And then Nynaeve looks at Perrin with surprise and feels his face like she's checking for a fever.
Yeah. I just
And
imagine the whole... Yeah.
Do you imagine a Perrin Pokemon evolution?
Possibly
Because
into a... What is it?
Wolf? Perrinite?
Perrinite?
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
That's what a couple people have called it.
Nice little fan art there, too.
Yeah, it was. It was good. We got some fan art. But this is definitely not a Pokemon evolution.
Yeah, this is
just... It was way more subtle than that, which
Yeah.
is boring. Boring. This is boring. Anyway, Nynaeve is super confused because Perrin doesn't have a fever, and she has seen yellow eye fever, and she's seen that its effects, and she goes, but it's never affected the irises before.
Yeah, no,
and I
so
go,
typically...
ooh, yellow eyes!
Because we got this instant previously, too, is that when, in, like, one of the first chapters, I want to say Senbui, but I'm not 100% sure, like, his family had named
I don't
the
think it
Dark
was
One.
Senbui. No.
No, I don't think...
A Coplin or
it was a
something,
Coplin or a
maybe,
Conger. It was one of those
something.
guys. Had, like, named the Dark One, and then Matt was like, oh, they all got yellow-eyed fever.
Yes.
And this is like that little hint that we got in the first chapter that brings it back here about yellow-eye fever.
Was it Billy Conger?
Maybe it was Billy Conger.
I want to look it up.
Yeah,
now.
let's look at it. Hold on.
Yeah, Billy Conger. Look.
Oh, yeah, his whole house
Page
came
40.
down with 41, 40,
Old
41.
Billy Conger says they don't exist. Aes Sedai Dark Friend says they're just old stories.
He named the Dark One. Yeah.
And his whole house came down with yellow eye fever.
I heard him do it. He still says he doesn't believe, but whenever I ask him to name the Dark One now, he throws something at me. It's old Billy Conger.
I told you I would just kick ass at
Killer.
trivia.
Yeah, there you
Billy
go.
Conger named the Dark One.
That was great.
Thank you. Are you impressed with me?
Super.
I'm impressed with me.
Yeah.
Zazu, are you impressed with me?
He doesn't care.
Okay, so right away, Moraine is there commenting. Yellow eyes?
Yeah.
And Nynaeve and Perrin jump because her approach had been silent. And she says, there was no foretelling this. Something ordained to be woven or a change in the pattern. If a change, by what hand? The wheel weaves as the wheel wills. It must be that. And Nynaeve hates being left out of things and really wants to know what's going on, but Moraine won't really tell her anything and says that her healing won't work because it's not an illness.
Yeah, this is kind of a classic example of Moraine doesn't give up more than she wants to.
You know, at this point, she's literally gives up nothing. I think she's irritated with Nynaeve.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the Lan incident.
Yep.
And I think even more than usual, she doesn't want to give Nynaeve what Nynaeve is asking for.
And she already, and like naturally, Moraine doesn't give stuff up. So
Naturally,
this is like extra.
Extra,
yeah.
and she's speaking even more cryptically than normal, so...
But yeah, so that's a really important note. Moraine says she can't heal because it's not an illness.
And it won't kill him, at least not directly.
Yeah.
And she shuts Nynaeve down by saying that they must sleep while they can, and they must reach Camelin quickly. And Perrin is left to think about how Moraine totally knows what he is, and she thinks that it's the Dark One's doing.
Yeah, but this is the big point here, is that Perrin makes a mistake. Perrin says to himself that Moraine thinks this is something that the Dark One has caused, but Moraine never said that.
No, she said, but by what hand?
She says if the Dark One's hand grows too strong, but she doesn't say that the wolf ability is because of the Dark One. He's just kind of like inferring that.
Yes.
But he's inferring it incorrectly.
I agree. So Lan comes to join Perrin on the ground while the women go off to sleep. And Lan asks Perrin if this just happened to him or if he met a guide.
Yeah.
And Perrin trusts Lan enough to tell him about Elias. And Lan draws a breath at that name. And this is something I predicted because of the whole Elias killing warders thing.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about this.
Because I didn't know if all warders knew each other or what the warder training process was like.
Or if this was like a big enough event to, like, for people to know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, turns out, Lan knows Elias. And turns out, he taught Lan about the Blight and about this wolf communication thing. Plus, he was a freaking warder. Elias was a warder. Like, I really didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Not in a million years would I have guessed that.
So this is pretty huge information because he does say that Elias taught Lan.
Yes.
And he taught him about the Blight and the sword. And then he does say that he's a warder. So that means a few things for Elias, that Elias would have an Aes Sedai. So that kind of brings into light a whole bunch of new things.
I didn't think about that.
The fact that a warder would have an Aes Sedai?
Well, like, unless he was like a warder in training. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Because the thing is, I don't know how it all works, right?
That's true.
I don't know if there are just warders in waiting for their own Aes Sedai after
this is the
they've
thing.
completed training.
This is the thing. So we got a definition of a warder, and a warder is someone who is tied and bonded to an Aes Sedai.
So that's when they get that name. That's once they're bonded.
By the definition of what we've learned so far.
Okay, cool. Interesting.
Yeah. But that also means that since Elias taught Lan about the Blight and the sword, like, Lan is an expert swordsman, we can say. He's good. He is very good.
Yeah.
So Elias would have to be that much, not necessarily better, but older, more experienced, been around longer to be the one to teach Lan about something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, and we definitely got that Elias has been around the freaking block.
And he's learned to trust his gut. And that kind of brings a whole new light to the fact that Elias was in a situation where he was a warder.
But then the wolves kept finding him, too.
And the Red Ajah still tried to gentle him while he was a warder, we can assume.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So he had
I want that fucking story.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So Lan then starts telling Perrin about the factions in Tarvalin, and I really thought that this was gonna be where I get some insight into the whole Aja thing.
Yeah, nope.
No.
Not yet.
So Lan reassures Perrin that this wolf thing is older than the Dark One and can't be caused by him. So Perrin is forming a great web, the Lace of Ages, and these lads are central to it.
Yeah,
so and isn't that what Loyal said?
Yeah, this is definitely a callback to the Loyal conversation.
Like that, right?
Yeah, so his whole conversation about the fact that the wolf connection is old and was lost before the Dark One was discovered.
Exactly, yeah.
And that kind of is very telling towards even the Dark One, because if the Dark One is something that was discovered, like, that kind of puts time into a different context too. So the Dark One hasn't necessarily always been visible. So that's kind of huge. But the big point there is that it's people's perception of the wolf ability is what's going to cause Perrin problems.
I agree.
It doesn't seem to be tied directly to the Dark One, but...
Yes.
But yeah.
It
seems like it's going to...
sort of does. But
yeah, it's like because of perceptions.
Lan here actually wonders aloud whether Perrin has been chosen by the light or by the shadow.
Yeah.
And Perrin immediately says that the Dark One can't touch him unless he names him.
Yeah.
Call back to Billy Conger naming the Dark One.
Yeah, but also it seems like that's not a true statement.
No, it really doesn't, because Lan seems to be amused by it almost.
Yeah.
But Perrin thinks about his dreams that aren't really dreams that he won't tell anyone about. And I am still
team tell Moraine.
Yeah.
I really think Moraine needs to know about these dreams, and she's going to be so pissed off when she finds out these boys have been having these dreams and have been marked by the Dark One officially,
So
and no one's told her.
remember back when Moraine and Rand had that conversation right after Winter Night?
How are your dreams, Randall Thor?
How are your dreams, Randall Thor?
Yes.
And he says,
I remember. He didn't say anything. He's like, what the fuck? What a weird question.
He didn't have any dreams
he hadn't had
yet.
a dream yet, but he literally had one that night. Or day, or whatever it was.
But you know what's interesting is that Moraine was expecting dreams.
Yes, but no one's told her about it.
Shoot.
I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I'm totally, from the beginning, I've been team tell Moraine.
Yep.
I think that she needs to know. I'm totally team tell Moraine.
Yeah.
And I hope it happens soon, because she's going to be so pissed off.
When she finds out.
When she finds out that these dreams have been happening for so long now, and so many, that it's like progressed to the fact that Beelzebub can like...
Has marked them
with like throwing shit in their faces, and ravens pecking their eyeballs out, and setting people on fire.
Some would say it's a bad situation.
Bad. It's a sticky situation. So Lan seems to be amused at how stubborn these two Rivers boys are, because Perrin says, "Oh, if you don't name the Dark One, he can't get you, right?"
Yeah, and it seems like none of that's actually very true.
No. Turns out if he wants you, he's just gonna get you.
Yeah, and then we get a little bit of cryptic speak here from Lan, where he says, "Old barriers weaken, old walls crumble, the barriers between what is and what was, between what is and what will be." So we're talking about, it almost sounds like a metaphorical wall, but it also kind of sounds like a physical
Well, because
barrier.
we know that the Dark One and the Forsaken are bound, right? In some kind of prison.
Well, in Shale Ghul, which is a mountain that's marked on a map.
Right. So it's an actual physical place.
It's a physical location with a metaphysical barrier, is what it sounds like.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And then he goes on to say, the walls of the Dark One's prison, this may be the end of an age. We may see a new age born before we die, or perhaps it is the end of ages, the end of time itself, the end of the world.
But he's like laughing.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, whatever, well, whatever, everyone.
This is a huge callback to the Loyal quote that that Loyal is trying to say to Rand, because he thinks that Rand's an Aiel.
Yes.
But it's very similar, where Lan says, we'll fight the shadow as long as we have breath, and if it overruns us, we'll go under biting and clawing.
Yeah.
And that's very similar to the Aiel saying.
Lan is very like, don't worry about it. Either everything will be fine, or it won't, and we'll die. Yeah. The end.
But that's...
like, his whole job is, I could die at any moment, so I better die with honor. The end. Like,
and that's a very standard, like, warrior philosophy, I'd have to assume.
Yeah, I would agree.
Where it's like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to go down fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to succumb to any Dark One. I'm not going to be a dark friend.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow what I believe is right, and if it means the end, it's the end.
Yeah.
And he finds it kind of amusing, and Perrin is pretty confused about the whole thing.
Yeah, he's never been introduced to these philosophies where you can die at any minute, and that's how life is.
Right. So, basically, by the end of the chapter, Lan just tells Perrin that he better pray that they find those boys in Camelin.
Yeah, but he does end on one important note, where he says, Mat and Rand have no Aes Sedai touching the true source to protect them. Perhaps the walls have not weakened enough for the Dark One himself to touch events, but tiny shiftings in the threads. Because we've gotten this whole talk about the pattern and the age lace interweaving events and life threads and everything. And then the Dark One, if he was fully released, everyone would be dead. And we got that saying also with the story of Manetheren, where if the Dark One was actually released, everyone would be dead. Yeah. But it's the same thing here, where it's like maybe he's out enough to influence, right? The chance meeting, the chance turning of a corner, things like that. So it's like the influence of the Dark One is going to change how things happen in this story.
Yeah, fair.
So, yeah. But hey, if you're going to die, you might as well go with spitting in sight blinders on the last day, right?
Sure.
So,
why not?
yeah.
And let's get to Camelin and find those boys.
Yeah, possibly.
Because that's the end of this chapter.
Yeah. And that's the end of the episode, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That was good, though. I was so excited. The fact that these 2 chapters were back to back that I could keep reading, I felt like for a moment, like one evening where I just got to read in bed, I felt like a normal
reader of
a book, and it was so lovely, and especially considering it was the, sort of chapters I was waiting for. Like, this really... Robert Jordan has a way of just making me so happy. This is exactly what I wanted, right? This is what I was hoping for. Everything has sort of worked out a little bit. It's like there's action, climax, action, climax, action, climax. And then there's a little bit of, hey, here's some climax, but what you're really expecting and hoping for.
Yeah.
You get just like a touch of it.
He gives you what you want at
just
the right time.
Just a little bit at the right time, and I bet now for a while we're going to go off, and I have no idea. I don't even know what the next chapter is called. I haven't really looked. Are you going to tell me?
Yeah. So the next chapter is called Weaving of the Web.
Ugh. Sounds boring.
There's a lion symbol.
Okay. I bet we're in Camelin.
Which means...
Maybe it's not that boring. It sounds like the chapter... What was it? What was the chapter called with Loyal? Weaving of the Web, I thought.
Web of the Pattern.
Oh. What the frick is the freaking difference?
Yeah, same.
Weaving of the Web, Web of the Pattern.
Yeah, this is the Weaving of the Web.
I get that this book is sort of the whole introduction to the entire religious philosophy almost.
Yeah.
Right? So I get it, and I hope it's interesting.
So
it doesn't sound that interesting.
Also consider that there's like about 50 chapters per book, and there's like 15 books, so that's like 800 chapter titles.
Wow. Yeah.
That you have to come up with, so I get it. Yeah.
Okay. But like 3 chapters apart or something.
Yeah.
That's quite
Could
a
have
bit.
spread those ones out
All
a
right.
little bit. But
my prediction going
Yeah.
forward is they make it to Camelin, but I also know that the White Cloaks are going to Camelin.
yes.
I'm interested in seeing what's happening. We got kind of almost a countdown to hopefully this whole false dragon Logain situation in Camelin. So I'm thinking we might get something to do with that.
Yes, because we know that the White Cloaks want to get there in time for
blank.
Logain. Yeah.
Yeah. For something.
For blank, but we know that it's the...
Yeah, we do.
That's the only
That's the
event
only
that's
thing it
going
could
on.
be.
Yeah.
And like, why else? Unless they're going to try to capture him and take him for themselves.
Yeah.
And then kill the Aes Sedai. That's what I said was going to happen.
But like, good luck. If Lan snuck into a camp of 200 without
and
even
just
being
like,
known,
I'm picturing them running around with their hands flat. Woo!
and like tents on fire. And
Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's my prediction.
Okay.
Something to do with Logain.
Hey, and you did say...
They're all going to meet in Camelin.
They're all going to be in Camelin.
I really hope that this actually happens and that Matt and Rand aren't just like leaving with Loyal.
Like a day before.
So yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah,
So,
it's possible, but
no,
you know.
I'm thinking their meetup in Camelin.
Okay.
That's what I've said from the beginning, and I'm sticking to my guns.
All right.
Cool. And I think we can officially say that this is part of the pattern.
Part of the pattern.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Wheel Weaves. If you're interested in bonus content, cool stickers, shoutouts, access to exclusive insider looks, and to support us making great content, you can head over to patreon.com/The Wheel Weaves podcast. You can find us on social media where we love interacting with our listeners. We're on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast and on Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. You can also join the conversation on our Discord channel. There is a channel for no spoilers that I have access to, and we also have a spoilers channel that Brett controls, so fun for everybody. There will be a link on Twitter and also over on our Patreon page. You can check that out. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. This really does make a huge difference. Plus, if you want to tell a friend about us, maybe someone who is just getting into the book series for the first time, or other longtime fans who you think would enjoy us, word of mouth is the best way for us to reach new listeners, and we would take it as a really huge compliment. Thanks, as always, to audionautics.com for the music, and thanks to you awesome listeners.